Teenage years can often be some of the most difficult, confusing times in a person's life. This has caused many teenagers to carry out deeds that they would later regret, with some teens committing awful crimes against others. Today, we'll be looking at 10 teenagers who freaked out after being given life in prison. But before we get started, be sure to hit that like button and ring the notification bell for more great videos. Samantha Grigg was once a promising singer for a local band at her local university. However, she decided to take her life down a different path when she claimed the life of another local teen. His family appeared in court, condemning her actions and pleading with the judge in court to properly punish her for what she had done. Samantha broke down and began sobbing in court as her victim's family explained that he has now left his young daughter without a father, crippling their family. Samantha worked alongside 2 other teens to rob the young man and severely injure him. It remains unclear if they planned on taking his life. In court, she refused to acknowledge her victim by name and read through her emotionless apology message to his family. She's expected to serve a minimum of 15 years for her crimes, while the other 2 perpetrators are expected to serve life in prison.
I would like to extend my deepest remorse to the family of the victim. He was a fellow musician. It really breaks my heart, and I wish I could take it back every day.
Dexter Johnson was apprehended after he allegedly took the life of another person. He was processed through the court system and found guilty. He appeared in court in June of 2015 to receive his sentencing, and a dramatic scene unfolded, leading Dexter to flip several chairs, causing his mother to have an emotional outburst as well. The 19-year-old was given the death penalty for his actions. After hearing this, he promptly sat down in a nearby chair, breathing heavily. His mother could be heard calling out from across the courtroom, leading Dexter to jump from his chair and begin to damage the courtroom property. More than a dozen officers immediately ran to apprehend him and his family. They were all removed from the courtroom as quickly as possible, causing everyone else in the room to flee to safety until the court was brought back into session. Shoemaker appeared in court after allegations arose that he has intentionally taken the life of a young boy. According to the prosecutors, the boy was having a fit and would not stop crying. Dylan took matters into his own hands, with him being arrested a short time later. The young boy was just shy of 2 years old, leading the judge to have very little remorse for Dylan. As he was being sentenced, he expressed his apologies to the family and insisted that he never meant to hurt the boy. However, piles of evidence prove otherwise. He and his defense attorney did the best they could to ask for a minimum sentence in the case, but he was ultimately given life in prison. Prison officers who were on site showed no emotion as they restrained Dylan, who must now face the consequences of his actions.
I can't take back what was done. I wish I could. I would give my life for Austin. I loved him. I didn't mean to kill Austin. Actually, I really didn't. I really think I did this. I didn't mean to hurt him.
John R. Freeman was referred to as a disgusting animal after he took the life of a 5-year-old girl while she was visiting her great-grandparents near Niagara Falls. The boy was sentenced to a total of 22 years, which was the absolute maximum punishment the judge could give. The teen apologized profusely in court, looking directly at the young girl's family. The local district attorney said that she'll see to it that he's never paroled and is forced to live out his entire sentence. Prosecutors said that the entire case was rather strange because the young man was very calm and collected. Though when he spoke of how he took the young girl's life with his bare hands, his demeanor changed and he grew dark and cold toward them. After taking the girl's life, John woke one of his friends to tell him what he had done. The friend went to the police the following day and told them what happened. According to police, John could not tell what his motive was for taking the girl's life. Authorities said this is exactly why he's considered to be so highly dangerous, and why he should remain locked up for as long as possible.
I'm so sorry to all that family, but nothing can take away from that. I understand that. I gotta wake up every day like that.
A 14-year-old boy named Antonio Barbeau was convicted of taking the life of his 78-year-old great-grandmother with a hatchet and was seen breaking down in court during his sentencing. He was sentenced to a minimum of 36 years in prison, though officials say that it's unlikely he'll ever be released. The young man spoke up in court, attempting to read an apology letter to his family, but couldn't hold back tears. He then passed the letter off to his attorney, though the attorney began sobbing as well. The boy was accompanied by his friend Nathan. The grandmother had allegedly invited the boys into her home, and when she turned her back, Antonio hit her in the head with a hatchet. He then ran to the bathroom because he wasn't feeling well, and when he came back in the room, his friend had begun attacking the woman as well. The boy's friend was also convicted for the attack and faces 20 years to life. According to reports, after taking the woman's life, the two stole her car. They also visited a nearby pizza shop before going home to face what they had done.
I know I don't show my emotions much, and I myself am not sure why, but that doesn't mean I don't.
I took away someone's mother, their grandma, sister, friend, when I had no right to do so.
17-year-old Jacob Morgan was arrested after he allegedly set fire to a home while a 14-month-old baby was inside. He was charged with abuse in addition to the charges against the child's life. He pleaded guilty in court and was given 10 years for unlawful conduct, 15 for setting the fire, and 5 years for allegedly unintentional taking of the child's life. According to Jacob's parents, all he ever wanted was a brother, with his parents insisting that the fire was a complete accident. According to his stepfather, none of the family would have attended his court proceedings if they believed that there was any chance he was guilty. His mother recalled the time when he phoned her at work, sobbing and screaming because one of his newborn kittens was sick, and he feared it would die. She said she refused to let any prosecutor or law official look her in the eye and say that her son is capable of taking another person's life, let alone a defenseless child. Investigators largely seem to have agreed that both the fire and loss of life was a complete mistake, though Jacob was sentenced to prison regardless. He's expected to serve about 20 years before being eligible for early release or parole.
Now go before general sessions court for more
Two teens were arrested after a father was killed while trying to disarm the two young men. The teens had been involved in a fight, with the father fearing that the boys would seriously injure one another. He stepped in to end the altercation and was wounded in the process, later losing his life. Prosecutors were hoping the teen would be sentenced to life in prison, and he was ultimately forced to serve a minimum of 10 years. Though he could serve a significantly longer amount of time, even life if he does not prove that he's rehabilitated himself enough while behind bars. The young man remained oddly calm throughout the hearing, eventually sobbing and resting his face in his hands in an attempt to hide his shame. Kiara Cook has essentially given her life to the prison system after she was involved in a series of crimes that led to the robbery of a teenager she met through an online dating service. The teen was also severely injured in the attack, leading the judge and jury to offer very little pity in the case. Cook appeared in court to receive her sentence for carjacking, attempted carjacking with a weapon, and felony battery. She was given 20 years for carjacking, 15 years for attempted carjacking with a weapon, and 15 years for battery. Her mother broke down after hearing the sentence, leading the teen to plead with the judge as her mother was removed from the courtroom. Cook became incredibly upset after her mother's outburst, sobbing uncontrollably and crying out for mercy. She was removed from the courtroom as well, though officers didn't seem fazed by her actions.
15 years state prison.
A young woman has been dubbed Hiccup Girl after she had multiple outbursts of hiccups in court. Any viewers were wondering if these hiccup episodes were faked, though her attorney says that these allegations are offensive. Jennifer was sent through the judicial system after she was involved in a crime that led to a young man losing his life. She was facing life in prison at the time of her appearance in court, later gaining worldwide recognition for her hiccuping episode. Her attorney spoke on her behalf as Jennifer can be seen and heard in court, sobbing uncontrollably and apologizing for her actions. Her parents pleaded for her to be released, guaranteeing the judge that she would stay at their home under constant adult supervision. The youngest man ever convicted of murder in Kent County was given his sentencing, resulting in a brawl between two families in the courtroom. The case involved a 13-year-old boy who claimed another's life, leading to one of the tensest and heartbreaking cases in Kent County history. The boy had allegedly used a gun against his mother's live-in boyfriend, though the boy's mother spoke in his defense in court, justifying his actions and insisting that the judge realize that he is only a child. The boy's mother believes that her boyfriend could have been abusing her son, suggesting that the boy's actions could have been in self-defense. The family of the victim then attacked the family of the attacker in the courtroom, leading to a serious outburst that threatened the safety of everyone in court that day. The young boy was facing life in prison at the time of the outburst, with the courts finding no evidence that the young boy or his mother had ever been abused.